Welcome to what is happening in today with Crowning Thoughts. Santiago DC Maria Truth Speaker.
The real story behind Trump and Epstein. Beyond Mar-a-Lago, what the records actually show about their ties. Listen up, because we're cutting straight through the noise on this one. People keep saying Trump's connection to Jeffrey Epstein was just at Mar-a-Lago, or that he never went near the infamous island. Sure, Trump might be telling the truth when he says he never set foot on Little St. James, the private Caribbean island where so much horror unfolded. But let's be crystal clear. That doesn't mean the island or Epstein's whole twisted world didn't come right to Trump's doorstep at Mar-a-Lago and other spots he controlled. The relationship ran deeper, crossed more places, and lasted longer than the sanitized version some want you to believe. We're talking documented flights, shared parties, neighboring homes in Palm Beach, and a social circle where billionaires and power players mixed freely. This isn't speculation. It's what court records, photos, flight logs, news reports from the time, and witness accounts have laid out for years. Let's walk through this step by step so everyone gets the full picture. No shortcuts, no sugarcoating. First, the basics everyone needs to know. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier turned convicted sex offender who built a network that preyed on underage girls and young women, luring them with promises of money, modeling opportunities, or connections, then exploiting them for himself and others. He used his private jet, the so-called Lolita Express, and his island retreat to facilitate much of it. Epstein died in federal custody in 2019 while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges, ruled a suicide, though the circumstances still fuel endless questions. His longtime partner Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted in 2021 of sex trafficking and is serving a 20-year sentence. Donald Trump and Epstein moved in overlapping elite circles in the late 1980s through the early 2000s, especially in New York and Palm Beach, Florida. Trump bought the historic Mar-a-Lago estate in 1985 and turned it into a private club that became a magnet for the ultra-wealthy. Epstein purchased a mansion just a short distance away in Palm Beach in 1990. They were literal neighbors in one of the most exclusive zip codes in America. That proximity made casual run-ins and social overlap almost inevitable. The most visible and documented part of their relationship happened right there at Mar-a-Lago. Photos and video exist showing them together at events in the club. One famous clip from 1992, captured by NBC at a party Trump hosted at Mar-a-Lago, shows Trump and Epstein laughing and chatting while surrounded by young women. Trump can be heard on the tape, saying positive things about Epstein's taste in women. Epstein was a regular guest at Mar-a-Lago social functions during the 1990s. Multiple people who worked there or attended events have confirmed seeing him there repeatedly over the years. But here's the key point that gets glossed over far too often. Their interactions were not locked inside the walls of Mar-a-Lago. They extended beyond Florida. Flight logs from Epstein's private planes released in court documents during various lawsuits and investigations show Donald Trump flew on Epstein's aircraft at least once in the 1990s. The logs list him as a passenger on a flight that did not go to the island, but the fact remains, he was on the plane. Other flights carried people connected to both men, and the jet was used to shuttle guests between New York, Palm Beach, and other locations where they socialized. They also crossed paths at events in New York City. Epstein maintained a massive townhouse on the Upper East Side, and Trump was a fixture in Manhattan's high society scene. Witnesses and contemporary news reports place them at the same parties and gatherings in the city during that era. This wasn't a one-off. It was part of a shared social orbit among the super-rich. The relationship reportedly cooled around 2004-2005. Trump has said publicly that he had a falling out with Epstein over a real estate deal involving a Palm Beach property. He claims he then banned Epstein from returning to Mar-a-Lago. Some former club members and staff have backed up that Epstein stopped appearing there after a certain point. Trump has repeatedly stated he cut ties completely and had no knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities. That's the official line, And it's important to note what the records do not show. No public evidence places Trump on Little St. James itself. No flight logs, no victim statements in the released Epstein files, and no photos put him there. The island visits documented in the files and lawsuits involve other high-profile names: Bill Clinton, multiple flights but no island proof in released docs. Prince Andrew settled a civil suit with accuser Virginia Giuffre. Bill Gates meetings with Epstein post-conviction, and others. Musk's emails show discussions about potential visits, but he insists he never went. So why does this still matter so much? Because the only at Mar-a-Lago. Framing minimizes the bigger reality. Epstein's network thrived precisely because men like Trump and dozens of others welcomed him into their worlds, gave him access, partied with him, flew with him, and treated him as a legitimate member of the elite club. That social cover helped Epstein operate for decades before law enforcement finally moved in force. The recent document releases millions of pages in late 2025 and early 2026 mention Trump repeatedly, mostly in old contexts. Phone messages, shared contacts, past party guest lists, and unverified tips submitted to the FBI. Nothing in those files has produced new, corroborated evidence of Trump participating in Epstein's crimes. But the sheer volume of references reminds everyone how intertwined their circles were. This isn't about inventing guilt where none exists. It's about facing facts head-on. The powerful don't get a free pass just because one specific location, the island, isn't on their travel itinerary. Epstein's poison spread through dinners, flights, parties, and introductions in places like Mar-a-Lago, New York penthouses, and private jets. Ignoring that wider web lets the system that protected him keep operating. We deserve better. Victims deserve justice that doesn't stop at convenient boundaries. The public deserves full transparency without spin. And if we're serious about fixing a broken system that lets predators hide among the elite, we have to look at the whole picture, not just the parts that feel safe to discuss. The truth doesn't care about political teams or convenient narratives. It just is. And right now, the truth says their connection went well beyond one club in Florida. It was real, it was documented, and it lasted years. That's not opinion, that's what the paper trail shows. If you also support democracy and freedom, feel free to join me in this fight. Click follow, click subscribe, and join me. Divided we fall, and together we can knock down mountains. Through unity is the only way we can make a change. I speak the truth, I share a bit of history, I share what is happening, I try to keep everyone updated with what is going on. I used to write for Newsbreak, but then I went on my own so that I can speak the truth and warn people freely without rules. Because you deserve the truth. I do not consider myself independent news. I am just a truth speaker with a mix of everything. I also share about God. I appreciate your time. I do consider myself independent in the fact that no one controls my narrative. I will not say what everyone else wants to hear. That is not why I created this movement. It is either the truth or nothing. Thank you, stay safe, God bless, I love you all. Crowning Thoughts, True Speaker, copyright 2025 by Santiago D.C. Maria, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution.